Hey everyone! Are you ready for an awesome adventure? Today we're going to talk about a man named Abram and his incredible journey of trust with his best friend, God. Let's jump right in.
Okay, let's play a little game. Imagine, what if someone came up to you and said, "Hey, pack your bags, we're going on a super secret trip." Would you go? Would you feel excited or maybe a little nervous? I guess it really depends on who's asking, right? Well, something just like that happened in our story today.
So, let's talk about this unexpected trip. It's all about a man named Abram who heard a really special call to go on the most important journey of his entire life.
All right, so let's meet our hero, Abram. Now, Abram lived in this huge, bustling city called Ur. And in Ur, most people prayed to idols, statues made of stone or wood. But Abram, he was different. He thought, why would I talk to something that can't talk back? He wanted a real friendship with the one true God. And you know what? Abram spent so much time talking with God and listening to him that God gave him this incredible title. The Bible says Abram was called the friend of God. Isn't that amazing? Not just a follower, not just a believer, but a friend, like a best friend.
So, because they were best friends, one day God came to Abram with a huge request. God said, "Abram, I want you to leave everything. Leave your house, your friends, your family, and go to a brand new place." And get this, God didn't even tell him where it was. No map, no GPS, nothing. Just start walking and I'll show you where to go. Wow, can you imagine?
Now, you might be thinking, why would he do that? That sounds kind of crazy. And you're right, it does. But see, God didn't just give Abram a command, he gave him an incredible, mind-blowing promise.
So picture this. God takes Abram outside on a super clear night. He says, "Abram, look up. See all those stars? Try to count them." Of course he couldn't. And God said, "That's what your family's going to be like. So many kids, grandkids, and great-grandkids that no one will ever be able to count them all."
God told him straight up, "I'm going to make your family into a great nation, and through you, the whole world will be blessed." And that's the super cool part, you guys. This big adventure wasn't just for Abram. God's plan was to use him to help everyone learn about his love.
This brings us to a really important point, a friend who listens. This whole journey, you see, it all began with trust.
And here's the craziest part. Abram did it. Right away, he didn't complain or say, "Wait, God, can you give me a few more details?" Nope. He just packed up his tents, his family, and all his stuff and started the journey. He had no idea where he was going, but he totally trusted his friend who did. So that makes me wonder. Abram knew God's voice so well, but how do we learn to hear God's voice? We can't see him, so how do we know it's him talking to us? Well, to help us figure that out, let's take a look at a super cool animal. It's time for a little nature lesson.
Say hello to the sugar glider. How cute is this little guy? Believe it or not, this tiny animal is an expert listener, and it can teach us a ton about how we can listen for God.
Okay, so sugar gliders have some awesome superpowers. First, they can glide, like almost the length of half a football field. They also have amazing night vision, but the coolest part? Look at those big ears. They can turn them like little satellites to hear everything. And for a sugar glider, being a good listener isn't just a fun trick. Their life depends on it. So what does this have to do with us? Well, just like a pet sugar glider learns to recognize and trust its owner's voice, we can learn to recognize and trust God's voice. And how do we do that? By spending time with him. The more we read our Bibles and talk to him in prayer, the more familiar his voice becomes. So here's the deal. Just like Abram, God is inviting you on an adventure of trust. It's your turn to be a star for God. All right, here's our big idea for today. The main thing to remember. Ready? As God's friend, I will live in a way that tells others about him. That's it. That's exactly what Abram's whole life was about, and it's what our lives can be about too.
And we have a perfect memory verse to help us remember this. It's from Isaiah chapter 30, verse 21. It says, "Your ears shall hear a word behind you, saying, 'This is the way, walk in it.'" How cool is that? It's a promise that God will always guide us, just like a GPS for our lives. All we have to do is listen.
Okay, remember how God promised Abram that he would be a blessing? Well, guess what? We get to be a blessing too. So I have a mission challenge for you this week. It's super simple. Step 1, find a friend and tell them something you really, really like about them. Easy, right? And then step 2, tell them about your best friend, Jesus. That's it. It's a simple way to be a huge blessing.
So, that leaves us with one last question to think about. Remember that promise about the stars? Well, you are part of that promise. You are one of God's stars. So the question is, how are you going to be a star for God this week? How are you going to shine His light to the people around you?